Winter. Love it or hate it, it's gonna be here year after year after year. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host Jason, and before we get into today's topic, I just want to thank all you guys out there who've been supporting me. The last week here, I've had a couple people message me and email me about some possible guests that I can start to interview here in the future, because that's kind of where I want this show to go eventually, is to bring on people who want to talk about getting in the outdoors, who want to share events that they're doing that get people outside. So, you know, if you know somebody who would be a good fit, or an event that would be, kind of fun to help promote a little bit, have them email me at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, we're going to start reaching out to some people here, and I've got some pretty good ideas on some people that I want to do some interviews with. So share your ideas with me, get the word out about the podcast, and, let's grow this together. I want this to be just as much your show as it is mine. So I want to be able to share this with others and really grow this and help promote, getting outside in the state of Wisconsin. So, again, that's wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer@gmail.com. All right, let's get into today's show. So I've always had a love-hate relationship with winter. When you're a kid, what's not to love about winter? There's snow, you're out there building snow forts, you're sledding, your snowball fights with your buddies, you're finding the biggest hills you can find, and there's always a chance that you could have a day off of school. And of course, when you get a day off of school, what do you do? You go sledding with your friends, you build more forts, and you have more snowball fights. And it's just, winter was just such a fun time as a kid. I mean, we were outside, we were always doing something. You were bundled up, and you'd be outside for, a couple hours, and you'd come in and your face was all red, and you got hot chocolate and whatever from your mom to warm you back up. But it was always a fun time when the snow was flying and it was cold out, and your imagination just went crazy about what the things you could do outside. But now let's fast forward to as I'm a little bit older. There are things that just make winter a little less fun than what it used to be when I was a kid. And with the somewhat frustrating winter, or non-winter, I guess you'd call it this year, what we're having here in central Wisconsin, I wanted to share 3 things that I love and hate about winter. And now, I don't like using the word hate, so let's just say I strongly dislike about winter, okay? So 3 things that I love and strongly dislike about winter. The first is the cold. Now, when I was a kid, and even as a teenager, I just seemed to handle the cold a lot better. I mean, you could go outside with a heavy fall jacket on, or, maybe just a long, hooded sweatshirt or something, and you were pretty comfortable as long as it wasn't, below zero. And if you had a good pair of gloves and a decent pair of boots, and you could be outside all day and not have any problems. But now today is a little different story for me. The cold gets to me a lot faster than when I was young. And the thing is I like being warm. I like being warm, and I like being comfortable. And now if I need to get outside, I'm grabbing a good pair of mittens. I'm shoving some hand warmers in those mittens. I make sure I find a pretty good coat, and I'm putting multiple layers on underneath that coat. I mean, I'm wearing, whatever long sleeve, t-shirts I can wear, and a hooded sweatshirt and jackets, and it's at least 3 layers that I'm putting on underneath that big outer layer. And it's just one of those things that I'm not able to handle the cold like I used to. Now, I've learned to adapt. Like I said, you put the layers and you put the hand warmers in, and it's made getting back outside a lot more fun and a lot more comfortable, and allowing me to enjoy the outdoors a little bit more. But I tell you, that's one thing that I'm not a fan of the cold. Now, I can handle those 20 to 30 degree days, even the 10-degree days, as long as it's not windy. But, when it gets down to that 0, you get them 10 below days, those 20 below days with a strong wind chill. Yeah, I'm sorry, the outdoors can wait for me then. I'm staying inside where it's warm and toasty. So my first thing is the cold. I'm just not a fan of really, really cold weather. Now this next one, I think probably most of us can agree on. It's driving. I just don't like driving on snow-covered, slippery roads. And it's not so much that I can't do it or, I've have a problem keeping control. It's just a matter of worrying about everybody else around me. I'm like, sometimes the stress of just driving in the snow is like, worrying about, okay, is this guy going to go slow down? Is this guy going to brake in front of me? And it's just, it's frustrating. It's exhausting. That feeling when you've driven in the snow for an hour from a long trip across the state or something. It wears you out. Now, I've made sure to make sure my vehicles are always ready before winter. Make sure they got the good tires and all the stuff that they tell you on the news that you're supposed to do for the winter. But the biggest thing, obviously is taking it slow and all that. But again, driving on winter roads is like probably my least favorite thing to do. And I guess, that's one of the perks of living in Wisconsin when we've got winter is you're going to have to drive on those winter roads. Okay, the third thing that I strongly dislike about winter happens more towards the end of winter. And that is that transition from winter to spring. I would say that not only is this my least favorite part of winter, but it's probably like my least favorite part of the whole year. The transition is always a messy, sloppy one. It's like, you wake up in the morning and the temperature's below freezing. So, everything's kind of hard. The driveways are firmed up from being frozen and stuff, but then the day warms up and you start to get into them 40-degree temperatures and things start to thaw out. And pretty soon they turn into a wet mess and you've got puddles everywhere. And if you live out in the rural areas like I do, you drive on dirt roads and things like that, there is just nowhere to get away from it. The roads are soft, they're muddy, you can't keep your vehicle clean, and then you get home and your yard is just saturated with standing water because the frost hasn't gone out yet. So all this melting that's happening is just basically sitting on top. So then what does it do in the night? At night, it freezes up again and you get this hard surface and you start the process all over. And for those of us with dogs, I love my dog, but she seems to have this habit of making sure to check out every new puddle that forms with the thawing snow. Now, our dog is an inside dog, so you can understand where that mess would come in when she decides that it's time to come back in the house. And we go through a lot of towels in that transition between winter and spring with her. And it's just a mess. I mean, you can't do anything outside in your yard or anything yet because it's just too sloppy. I mean, you're wearing, rain boots all the time, it seems like. And I guess it's just one of those necessary evils, though, of that seasonal transition. I guess the thing about that is I always kind of think of it as this is the mess before the beauty of spring begins. Okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff. The stuff that I enjoy and love about wintertime. And there's that transition period when you get in fall and all the leaves are gone and the weather's getting colder. Winter's knocking on the door, but it's just not here yet. And then you see it. you see that first flake falling. And then you see more flakes falling. And then pretty soon, you've got your first snow of the winter season. And when that first snow comes, that's when I start getting excited about winter. What's kind of fun about that is sometimes you get multiple first snows in a season. And what I mean by that is we've had snow here as early as October, mid-October, and then it just kind of goes away. You get them warm days, it goes away. And then you'll get another one, maybe in November. And then you get about mid-December, and you start getting that Christmas feeling in the air, and then you get that snow that's going to stay. And that's what I love. I love that first snow that you're going to get that you know isn't going to go away. And you know that that's going to be the base for the rest of winter. And it's just kind of that, I don't know, you get excited. You kind of feel like a kid again. You feel like a kid again when you get that first snow that's going to sit on the ground and it's going to stay there until spring. And I love it. I just love it. Nothing gets me more excited than seeing that first snow and seeing them flakes fall. And especially if it's a good heavy snow. If you get that first snow and you get a couple inches out of that first snow of the year, yeah, there's just, I love it. There's just nothing better to me about that transition from fall to the official start of winter when you get that first snow that's going to stay and you can start planning for the fun stuff. The second thing that I really love about winter kind of goes with what I just said, with the fun stuff. Winter opens up doors to things you can't do in the warmer months. And I've talked about this before, things like snowmobiling and ice fishing and sledding downhill with nothing but a piece of plastic underneath you. The activities that are available in winter, to me, is what makes Wisconsin such a fun place to live, especially during the winter season. I mean, we've got places that build ice castles and we've got the ice caves. And if you go up to Minocqua, they build a 30-foot snowman up there every year if they can. And, people jump in freezing lakes for charity. I mean, there's just so many kind of fun things that you can do in the wintertime that's the only time of year you can do them. And, I've said this before about how Wisconsinites really know how to make winter fun. And that's part of it. That's part of what I love about winter is how we can just have fun. I mean, there's ice drag races up by Merrill, and there's just so many great things to do and so many ideas. I mean, you can go on these candlelight snowshoe walks that they have around the state, and that's stuff that you really can't do in the summertime. I mean, those are the things that you can only do in the wintertime, and that's what makes them special. And I think that we forget that, during our everyday lives that we have fun. We know how to do things up here to have fun in the wintertime, to keep winter from getting us bored, from sitting in the house and just, getting that cabin fever. We know how to get rid of cabin fever, and we just know how to have fun in the wintertime. Okay, number 3 on my list has to do with looking up. Now, I have always enjoyed stargazing. I mean, even as a kid, I always liked looking up at the stars and just seeing, like, the millions of stars. And during the winter, to me, the night sky just seems so much crisper and clearer than during the summer months. I mean, granted, now it's easier to stay outside in the summertime to look and view and enjoy them a little bit more. But man, when you bundle up and you step outside in the wintertime on a clear night, those stars just pop. And it's definitely worth doing this. I've dabbled a little bit in astrophotography, taking pictures of the stars at night. It's something that I like doing. It's hard for me to do just because of my work schedule. But I just get better results when the weather is colder. So the next time the skies are clear and the weather is really crisp, just step outside for a little bit. Throw on a big coat and some hats and mittens and just get outside and look up at the stars. I think you're going to agree that they just look so much crisper and clearer than they do in the summertime. And it's really just one of the things that I love about winter is just, like I said, that crisp, clear evening sky where you can just see millions of stars looking back on you. So that's my list. It's a short list. There's a lot of other things that I like and dislike about winter, but there was a time where I just couldn't stand winter. I was ready for winter to be over with. And I got to say, I'm learning to re-love winter again. I didn't always look forward to it. But as I got older, I realized, life is about what you make of it, and winter is no different. If you learn to love what winter has to offer and adapt to the cold, you'll be able to do things that you want to do outside. And you'll be able to try new things and look forward to having the snow to try other things. So I suggest you find things you enjoy doing and adapting yourself to do them in the wintertime. If you like going for walks, figure out a way to go for a walk in the wintertime. If you like fishing and you've never done ice fishing, try it. You're going to like it. It's just get out there and try those things. Try sledding, try skiing and all that stuff. And you're going to discover that the more you do and the more you try and the more fun you start having in the wintertime, you're going to find that winter passes by pretty quickly, and it's going to feel like it passes by almost as fast as summer does. And then you're going to find yourself looking forward to those first flakes of the next winter. So here's your chance to tell me about what you love or strongly dislike about winter. Leave a comment, message me, or just leave me an email at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer@gmail.com. And you know what? I'll share your thoughts with everybody else. Let's get a community going here where we're talking to each other a little bit more, and let's share our experience with each other so that, we can all grow as one of Wisconsin's outdoor explorers. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Let's get the word out about Wisconsin and how great it is to get outside and be one of its explorers. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.